Welcome to British Business, The Bottom Line. Every week, me and Matt sit down to talk about the real stuff, the news affecting your business, the lessons we've learned the hard way, and the things nobody tells you when you're running your own show. Whether you're just starting out or you've been at it for years, this one's for you. I'm Charlie Smith.
And I'm Matt Holland.
Let's get into it. Yo, 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 Charlie. yo, yo.
Charlie Smith, how are you?
All right, Matthew Holland, how are you?
We need to synchronise that a little bit better and understand who's going to speak first at the start of the episode.
I was just coming in to ruin it for you. That was my aim there.
Yeah.
I just saw your mouth go to open, and I thought, I'm going to have him. I'm going to kick off. I'm going to kick off this Friday morning the way I intend for it to go, which is carnage. Let's do
Excellent.
this.
Love it.
Can I start by saying something first of all? This is going to come
down.
out. It's going to be way too late. Huge news last night is it Makerfield? Is Makerfield up by you?
Yeah.
In the Makerfield by-election last night, huge news, huge win by the King of the North. So I reckon I'm going to put it out there. I reckon by the time this episode comes out, I reckon there might be a leadership challenge with the Labour Party.
%. Yeah.
I think it would have been invoked. I think he'd have the support. I think it's game on, John.
So just to respond to that, I think it's just bad news for the fucking country, to be honest with you.
So do I. Big time. It's like going back fucking 10 years.
All we're going to end up with is a further left-wing leader than Starmer.
Do you think so?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Because we become more socialist.
Yeah, even more, which is mad. But that's what Burnham is like. Obviously, I live just outside Manchester, and Manchester is a great city, and so is Liverpool. And I think he's definitely doing better than the London mayor. And I do like Andy Burnham to a certain degree, but I do think he's much more socialist than Starmer. So for business owners and people that are hardworking who want to grow and want to do things, that's not fucking good news, basically.
Well, but you're saying that there's been some good stuff that they've done up your way, hasn't there? For like regenerating the city and investment and
there's also things that come at a great cost and been overly very inefficient. But listen, I don't want to get into it because I've got a really good topic I want to discuss today.
Gary Neville's going to be well chuffed though, so he's going to be well chuffed. Bless him.
Well, he's got loads of money, but he's a bit of a fucking wokey. They all are.
But it's very easy to be woke when you're loaded.
Yeah, and the money has come.
Clip that.
Yeah, I think there's a correlation between wokeness and wealth when the wealth has come relatively easy. So when you see these sports people and people like that, and I'm not saying that I don't want to say that but I don't think getting wealth by being a footballer is comparable to getting wealth via being an entrepreneur.
No, I'd agree with you.
They're two very different paths.
I think equally they'd have worked hard to get where they got to, but I agree. I think the wealth comes very rapidly, doesn't it? Whereas
I think just on the note of Gary Neville, he's become very successful and he's a very good business owner, and I think he's become a lot less woke in the last few years. But people like, what's his fucking name? Gary Lineker. I mean, he's on a fucking another level of wokeness to a certain degree. If we're doing the footballers tour. But listen, we've got some really good stuff to discuss today.
Continue.
More about entrepreneurship than politics. So we've also got, Charlie, a new segment for our podcast, which we don't have an intro for it yet. And for people listening, Charlie has been assigned the task of coming up with another great little soundbite for British Business Facts of the Week and Claude's Question of the Week. But the new segment, I'll be interested to hear what people think about it because, we're open to feedback. So shall I hit them with it, Charlie, before we get into the episode?
Absolutely. Are you gonna? Yeah, go for it. Yep.
So this is episode 76, and I will reveal the title of the episode retrospectively in a little bit. But the new segment is, should we do a little drum roll? There we go. That's so fucking cheesy. Win of the week.
I was going to say that the drum roll and then you saying it is just going to be so anticlimactic.
So shit. So we've got British Business Win of the Week, which basically the idea is that me and you just hit the start of the podcast with what we have discovered within our business that this week, or it might not necessarily be something within the business. It might be a realization personally, maybe about yourself from being a founder or whatever it might be. obviously try and keep it business or personal development related, but it's something that's worked within the business or a realization of something that needs to work or needs to improve or change. So I think it's quite a nice little idea. And do you want to know what my win of the week is?
Yeah, go for it.
I've actually got two, so I'm going to hit us with a double.
I've got three.
I'm going to do win of the week for the podcast, so for the podcast as an entity, and then I'm going to do win of the week for me personally. So that'll give you some time to have a little think, scratch around in that little cupboard of yours, and see if you can find a win of the week for yourself. So win of the week for the podcast, Charlie, is I did some number crunching, and we are on track to hit episode 100 this year.
Really?
Yeah. So it'll be the second or third week of December. We will hit episode 100, which is quite a nice little thing to celebrate, I think.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to fuck it up yet, though, isn't there?
Yeah. We'll see how we do with that.
Plenty of time yet, my boy. But we'll try. We'll just keep going.
One thing I would say in relation to that little win of the week is we have successfully, since starting the podcast last February, I think was when the first episodes went live with me and Tom. We've had an episode go live every single week without fail, and some weeks we've even had bonus episodes go live. There has been a couple of mishaps or fumbles where episodes haven't been published on the Monday until like 10 a.m, but we have had an episode go live.
Yeah, that's a win. That's great consistency in that, and that's what you need in this game. You need it in all games, but definitely need it in this game.
100%. I think, like, in terms of what we want to try and achieve with the podcast, like, it is very much this is like the longest long game we can play. And I think for me anyway, it's a passion project, but I do like to see that we're being consistent.
Yeah,
with it, and that's what I've always said. And the other thing I would say is it's got better over time. So that's the win of the week for the podcast.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we say that we're like, we're never really that worried about it, but you still look at the numbers, don't you? And you're still like, oh, listens were down last week, or we've got a few new followers this week, or what's the trend like? What's the trend? Is it? Are we going up? Are we going backwards? Is there something someone doesn't like? So you end up becoming like a little bit obsessed with it all, don't you? You can't help yourself.
To be honest,
even though you say like it doesn't matter to us, we're just doing it as a passion project.
I mean, to counter that, I genuinely I don't really look at the numbers too much.
No, I know, but I like looking at the trends and stuff.
The one thing I do look at, which I'd love people to kind of help me out a little bit with this, I do look at the number of ratings we've got on Spotify. I almost said Shopify there, which is
you look at them as well, don't you? Quite often.
Yeah, well, I do look at those analytics every day. But on Spotify, the Spotify rating for the podcast is super important. That's the only thing I do look at. And we've got to like 24 5-star reviews now, which is good. So we need to keep people motivated. People need to help us out with that.
Amen, bro.
Well, listen, win of the week. So we won't do a podcast win of the week again, I suspect, for a while or what have you. But for myself, my win of the week, it's Friday today, we're filming. This episode goes out the week after next. But my win of the week this week is I had a really authentic conversation with someone last night. I went for dinner with them, and something that came out of that chat was this realization for me. And it's, I think, the second or third person to make the observation, which is basically I am trying to do too much at the same time. That's my moment of epiphany and realization, having someone pulled me on it again. James Sinclair pulled me on it when I had that one-to-one a couple of months ago. I need to remove distractions. And it was interesting, the conversation, because I said to the guy, I was like, but I think my biggest strength and skill is the ability to multitask and do lots of things to a pretty good standard. And he said, well, there's two things there, Matt. The first thing is maybe it's because you've not got enough higher caliber people in the business. So you need to bring in more higher talented individuals to kind of elevate that, to challenge you so you aren't doing well at everything, if that makes sense. But then separate thing is I myself, and this is the other guy talking, he's in a situation, I'm getting a bit of feedback on your mic.
Yeah, it's the dog. Can't you hear him?
Right, okay. What? Why is he?
Ted, will you lay down? Ted, lay down. Lay down, man. You can't keep still. Lay down. Matt's talking.
Jesus, unbelievable. Does he not know what's going on there? Right.
Bloody rude, that.
So this chap said to me, he said, well, Matt, I've got the same skill set. And this is where the punchline comes in. I've got the same skill set. I had the opinion, or have the opinion, that I am exceptional at juggling lots of different things and doing them pretty well. But he said the biggest unlock for me of growing from X to Y, and he's at a higher level than me, was the realization that actually I need to step back and I need to do less, and I need to focus in on the task that is creating the largest bottleneck to growth within the business. And then when I solve that issue or complete that task, it's then what's the next biggest thing, and just try and focus on one individual thing at a time. Whereas what's happening at the moment with me is I think I'm doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things probably, or trying to manage 10 different little projects and doing them all pretty reasonably, but not great. And yeah, so for me, that's my big win this week.
I'll follow up with a question to you.
Yeah, go on.
So you said there that's just like almost like the second reminder, and it probably isn't just the second, right? It's probably something you've been aware of for a long time. As you finish your drink. My question is, why do you think you keep falling back to that level? It almost feels like the business owner's, the entrepreneur's curse, right? To try and do everything. Why do you feel like that? You've had a second reminder in a conversation last night, and James Sinclair's already told you about it, first of all, when we had that conversation on the podcast. So why do you think you keep coming back to that?
Comfort.
You reckon?
So I think all humans, all people, all business owners, we revert back to what we're comfortable with. And actually, what you have to do is you have to tear down and stop going for the comfortable thing. So the comfort thing for me is to involve myself and feel busy, involve myself in lots of things. And yeah, I think that realization is going to be big for me, if I can execute, because what it requires is discipline. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. This self-imposed exile that I'm putting myself in France for 6 weeks is going to be fascinating, because that's going to force me into a situation where I can't touch and get involved in things that I shouldn't get involved in.
Mm. Yeah, we had a good example of that this week, didn't we? Without going into too much detail, but it's got my cogs turning though, because I feel like I might a different scale, obviously, because obviously when we're both discussing these things, we're coming at it from a different scale, different perspective. You know, you've got a bigger team, I've got less of a team. We're at a different stage in our growth, but I'd actually say that I'm sitting here, the cogs are turning. I'm thinking I haven't done a pretty bad job of that sort of thing lately. I'll tell you for why, because I'm always someone that I've always wanted to be involved in just about anything where I see like a big level of value, or something that might be a big customer, a new customer. I used to nab those off the guys quite a lot, and I used to take on quite a lot of the customer conversations. And don't get me wrong, I've still done some of that. But our main email inbox, I've not touched now. I haven't spoken. There probably is a couple of emails here and there, but new inquiry rise for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I haven't done a single thing. That's Tom. Tom's done the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's been under the cosh major. He's been under the cosh with it. It's been a busy period for us. It's not been a very good year. It's not been a very good last couple of months. It hasn't been crazy busy. But the last few weeks, inquiry-wise, has been quite high. There's been a lot of demand. There's been a lot of things that people need discussing. There's a lot of things for him to sort out. And actually, I've kind of left him to it. And I don't think I've knowingly done that. I think I've just preoccupied myself with other things that I'm a little bit more excited about than those at the moment. But that's always been quite a hard thing for me to let go. And actually, when you're talking about that now, I'm thinking to myself, instead of beating myself up about not giving him any assistance and not taking control of it, what I should be doing is patting myself on the back a little bit more and saying, actually, what you have done is quite a good thing for the future and the growth of your business. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't do it all.
I've not achieved it yet, so I need to work on it. But I think it runs in cycles. So
yeah.
So right now, the business is stable. We're growing 15-20% year on year. So we are growing, which is strong, and that's good. So we've averaged 15-20% growth year on year to date. And I'm happy with that, because that's on a big number. But my conversation yesterday is, well, I think we're missing out on a lot of opportunities. And it's down to me not focusing on the most important task. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the impact of that conversation is and that realization. But I do think it's seriously, like, it's kind of it's gone into my head this time, and I do get it. So
it takes a tremendous amount of discipline to be able to do that as well, doesn't it? I think all of us.
It's going to be interesting.
All of us have got to work at that. I find it really, really hard.
Yeah,
but
doing the things that you should be doing and not doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. Like,
yeah, I think sometimes just then you find yourself trying to find things that you should be doing, as opposed to you haven't, your list might not be all these things that actually do need me or I should be doing, but because you get into a position where you might not have. I mean, I'm probably quite lucky at the moment. It's come about as from circumstance more than anything that I've got other things that needed my attention. So I might have done it kind of unknowingly, but if I didn't have those things, I probably would just flip back straight into the same mentality of doing what I've been doing.
Yeah, I think a measurement of the success of this like epiphany or win of the week for me will be if I can get the growth to be at like 40% later this year.
Do you think you need to be accepting of things that are slightly lower than the standard that you set for yourself as well?
Yeah, 100%. Because there's things that I see within the operation of the business in other areas where I'm like not happy with that, but yes, I could solve those problems. But is that going to lead to a better situation? And actually, what needs to happen? I need to focus on the growth barriers right now because the operation is coping fine. The systems are not breaking. They might not be perfect, but they're not breaking. Yeah. So really what needs to happen now is I need to focus on growth barriers, get the business to grow more, and then the systems will break, and then they will become the barrier to growth. Do you know what I mean? So I almost need to I need to create a problem. That's what I need to do. So I need to grow it to the extent where one of the systems in the business breaks, whether it's customer service or warehouse operations, and then I'll deploy myself into that, help solve the problems there, and then move on to what the next biggest thing is, and just go through that. So
all the while, just smashing out some sort of big growth.
Yeah. So what is your win of the week, Charlie?
4-2 against Croatia on Wednesday night.
I like that.
Hell of a win. Hell of a win. And do you know what? Even when this one comes out, it'll be old news. But yeah, great result. Great second half performance. I thought it was fantastic. It was a bloody breath of fresh air. And do you know what else was good about it? I thought was that you listening to an elite level leader come out and speak after the game.
Who was that?
Thomas Tuchel doing his interview at the end. What he said to his team. How he led this team, the message he gave them at halftime beforehand. I just thought there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference when you see some of these people and some of these leaders in the way they communicate and what they say to people at the time they say it to them. So basically, his message at halftime was effectively, he thought they were very cagey, very nervous. We weren't making the right decisions. They were really, really disappointed with what they've been doing. And he said to them at halftime, look, whatever the result happens to be is not going to change my perception of the last 16 and 17 days. He said, he basically said, it was the best. It's the best period of time that he's had in coaching. He loves the group. He loves how hard everyone's been working. Loves what they've been doing. He basically said, if you go out there, we lose doing it our way, and we lose doing it what we've set ourselves out to do. And he was just completely okay with that. It's fucking great. So yeah, that was my first one of the week.
Right, interesting. So perspective on leadership.
I said that. Yeah, I just thought of that one on the spot, Matt. To be honest with you, because I thought it was very topical. But I also had a really good conversation with Kieran yesterday as well. So I've been trying to get myself not involved. Is Kieran the
lad with the really nice mullet?
Yeah, that's Kieran. That's Tom's brother. So we've got Tom.
They're brothers, are they?
Yeah. Tom and Charlie, directors of the company, and then we've got Kieran, who's effectively like our office manager / general dog's body. So we kind of get him to do a bit of everything.
He's your attack dog.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's jack of all, sorts everything out basically. Manages a production
Jack
and stuff.
Russell.
But I spoke to him yesterday because I mean our systems are not breaking at the moment. It's actually okay, but I can foresee a problem when we start to get slightly busier. That the way in which we communicate, the way in which we produce, and how those jobs come through to the production team again, even though we've had this conversation quite a few times, it will become an issue because everything effectively is needing to go through him, and I don't think it needs to be. So I've given away the responsibility of the production. So and to be honest with you, so as Tom, he oversees that with Kieran, but we've allowed that to be the case. So we ask for reviews on it. We ask for information on it. We ask for turnaround time numbers. We ask for how many orders we're producing in the week, and we ask him for a percentage of errors, which he calculates weekly. And that's kind of as much as we get involved in it, to be honest, apart from...
That's really good.
But I've asked him basically to give some of his responsibility away now as well, and kind of tried to like explain the situation. I mean, like, we're not a big team, it's not a big, but we've now got to a position where we started to take on a number of schools, and the kind of the explanation I gave to him is that from a B2B perspective, we have relationships with maybe one or two key stakeholders within that business, and it might generate us X a year. But each time an order is placed for a value, say it might be, I don't know, five average order value at £264. It might be bigger, but one conversation for £500. But from a school's perspective, when parents are purchasing uniform, we're having conversations for the same value. We might, at the average order value, might only be about £30 or £40. We're having conversations with 10 times as many customers. And effectively, that kind of creates a position where if you're running it 7 to 10 working days for your production, as soon as it starts to get to the kind of the 10-day mark, it starts to become a little bit like itchy for the customer. I think I would be the same if I was at home. Have they got it? How long is it going to take? How long am I going to be waiting for? And that's when then we start to get a lot more communication back in. So not only have we dealt with it the first time, we're now dealing with it for the second time. Customers asking us where it is. We've got to then go and have those conversations. So we've got time on email, time on phones, time trying to talk to them, time finding out when it's going to be produced, time to know where the stock is, time to let them know when it's going to be able to be collected. So I basically asked him to give some of that responsibility away and allow some of our team to manage the shops that run it, and say, look, first thing in the morning, you need to come in. You need to give that responsibility to them. It can't be up to you to run those stores, those web shops. I said, you could easily give those 3 schools to one person. They come in each morning, first part of the day, they check to see if there's any orders placed the day before. Is the stock been ordered? Is the stock arriving? Can I get it produced before you give me any B2B work? And then happy days. We cut the lead time down for the customer. We cut the amount of conversations that we need to have. We cut the amount of input we've got to have for each one of those orders, and everything can be slicker process. So I'm hoping it's gone in, and that would be my win of the week. But it was nice to have some time where it's not just like me just shouting, where are we with that? Where are we with this? What's going on here?
Well, I think it's about identifying how you measure the success of that. That's what I've been looking at, is how you measure the success of that new system or those changes to that operational flow. And the interesting thing, though, is you said at the start of that kind of monologue, the fact that I'm guilty of monologues as well, so I'll let you have that monologue. That's why I didn't interrupt you. But the interesting thing is, you started off by saying the operation isn't breaking at the moment. But the interesting thing is that you've chosen to invest some time in preemptively solving issues that are not technically there yet. Now, that goes against what my conversation was yesterday, and this is a higher level. This guy that I spent some time with yesterday is on another level to me and you. It's kind of like, I suppose, Elon Musk to his closest peer, if you like. He's like 4 or 5 times. Like this guy, he's doing very well, and your biggest opportunity is that fixing that operational issue, or is it driving sales and growth to then further break the operation? And this is the conundrum that we face as business owners. Should you have been focused on that, which I think there's some significant value in that, and it sounds absolutely fantastic, and I think it's a good thing. But the interesting thing that I'm thinking about now is what I need to be doing is I need to be focusing not on those types of things, but the thing that is preventing growth, which for me right now is very nicheified e-commerce activities, to do with basically winning customers, if you like, acquiring customers. I need to acquire more customers, and then systems will fail. And my perspective on what you just said there is, I suspect to a certain degree, and call me out if you disagree, and maybe you do, but I think you maybe should have. Yeah, I think you maybe should be focused more on acquiring more customers.
Yeah, I get that, but I think we need to, from my perspective, I think we help ourselves to acquire more customers if we give great customer satisfaction to the ones that we do have. And I think from a school perspective, what I've never wanted us to be. I've never wanted us, and I know there's that whole supply and demand thing, and I think people talk about it a lot. Daniel Priestley talks about it a lot. But if people think you're absolutely rammed and you can't cope, why is that good for you? I think that wouldn't be good for my growth. So I think people need to see that we're calm, collected. We can deal with whatever you throw at us. It's really, really easy because we've thought about that prior to it actually happening. And then when the big orders do come, we can just go and just breeze through it. Again, another happy customer. And as we've done well with schools in the past, because effectively it's almost like a little marketing tool. If you think that you've got, I don't know, one of the schools has got nearly 1,500 students, 1,500 sets of parents, all work for local businesses, all do stuff that might require our services. And do you know what? We had a lot of success off the back of that as well. And again, so each time we're another advert for our brand within our local community and beyond. You know, especially with like schools and stuff, and you know the size of the trust these days, and how many schools are involved, and how many meetings they go to, etc. How many other head teachers they talk to. So I just think it's really important for us to satisfy the ones we've got. And I also think that if you do it shit to start off with, all you're doing is causing ourselves a headache, where it takes my time up then talking to a customer to try and find out where their stock is, when it's going to arrive, and when we can get it to them. Then I've unlocked the time where I can carry on just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and keep compounding.
I think you're right, and this is the conundrum that business owners face, is what you should focus your time on. But I think what I would say is I think you're right, that quality of service, and
Amazon's a good example for that, right?
Yeah. But you see, they've had issues over the years. They've had bottlenecks, but I suspect, my opinion is actually systems do have to be breaking a little bit, and then the test of the entrepreneur
creaking.
Creaking. The real test of the entrepreneur is dealing and solving problems under pressure. And actually, to a certain degree, the system needs to be creaking more. And that is what my view of my business is right now. Things are not perfect. There's things that I could look to improve. I've done a lot of that via Danny and via other people in my business this year. Now is the time for me to really double down and go after it and cause some problems for the competition, grow the business, and damage other people's economies of scale. That's what we need to do. We need to acquire more customers, even if it's at a lower level of profitability, because for every customer I take off A, B, or C competitor, that's less profit and revenue for them. So in our little niche space, whether it's country clothing or whether it's workwear, I mean, workwear's a tremendous opportunity for us direct to consumer there. And I think that's like a sleeping behemoth sat, and that's going to be fascinating to watch over the next few years. But there's some big opportunities. But listen,
we haven't done the episode time, have we?
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I love our podcast, because it's just beautiful. So I'm not going to reveal the episode title just yet, because I think this is going to be great. We're 30 minutes in, but we've got to be concise now, Charlie. So try and be efficient with your monologues, and I'll do the same.
Please. Yeah.
So that's Win of the Week box stuff. So episode 76, still no title. British Business Fact of the Week. So basically, I mean, are you familiar with the term? Are you familiar with the term North Star?
What, the one in the sky?
Yeah, we'll come to this in a moment. So, British Business Fact of the Week: a 2025 YouGov survey commissioned by VistaPrint found that 80% of UK small business owners say they're happy, with much of that happiness coming from the freedom of being their own boss, including setting their own schedules and doing work they actually care about. And that was 45%. But money came further down the list. So point there is, I mean, it's interesting that, because, I mean, the freedom of being their own boss. I mean, it is freedom. I do think there is a lot of freedom in there and being not told what to do, even though you laughed. Like, I think there is a lot of freedom, because you have the choice of what you want to focus your time on for good or bad in the business. But the key thing is that, in terms of
double-edged sword, that, isn't it? It's definitely a double-edged sword, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't want to go into it, because we need to stay on track. So 57% of people were saying that freedom and the setting their own schedule was majorly important to them and helped create happiness. This one of the second biggest thing was doing the work they actually care about. So I read that as like comfort work, but money was not one of the top two. That's the first thing. That's the point I want to take. So
weird.
So interesting. So today's episode title is, what is your North Star? Now, there's a bit of context to this because, I mean, the whole concept of having a North Star, it sounds a little bit gimmicky, and I've been a little bit skeptical of it. But basically what happened was I was at a founders dinner last Friday night, and it was a room of maybe 10 entrepreneurs, good, high caliber individuals doing a mixed range of turnover, because turnover is not necessarily the measure of a good entrepreneur. You can be doing some good turnover, but you can be shit, basically, in my opinion. But this guy, I just got chatting to him. His business was all about, he's like he targets the SME and micro business space. He helps businesses systemize their business and add process and procedure in, specifically around the concept of the creation of SOP documentation. So I immediately fucking love this guy because I'm like, I love shit like that. And for a long time, I wanted to have it in my business, but I didn't have the structures and processes to be able to implement it. And then Danny came along and we've got more structures and we've been able to do this and we're still doing it now. So I had a really good chat with this guy. And then as we were closing off the conversation about that, because we were having like a really good back and forth. It was a very like, I would say intellectually stimulating conversation. He said, Matt. What do you say?
Not like the one you have with me. This one was intellectually stimulating. Anyway, carry on.
Why are you being so mean to yourself? Like, I do enjoy talking to you. We had a good chat last night.
Yeah, we did.
He turned to me and he said, Matt, what is your North Star? And I paused for a moment. And then Callum, who was organising the event, said, oh, guys, we've got to move through to the room. That's because it was like a private room in Hawksmoor in Manchester. So we all went into this room in the back. And I ended up sitting away from him. And I wasn't able to actually answer the question, which was quite a partially frustrating situation because I feel like I'm getting a bit of feedback, by the way, on your mic.
Yeah, it's another fly. It's a fly, mate. It's a fly.
No, I can hear myself just as context, so you might need to just sit back there. So it was like slightly frustrating because he asked me the question, we got ushered into the room, and then he sat away from me because the placeholders. So I didn't answer the question, but then my brain was like, what is the answer to that? And then I've been Googling and like watching some videos on North Star kind of, and the thoughts behind it. Basically, the short of it is, what is your purpose? What is your purpose in business? What is your purpose in life? And I just thought it would be a good topic for you and I to discuss a little bit. And it's interesting because I think it changes over time. It definitely has for me, without realizing it. So, I mean, are you familiar with the kind of concept of kind of what is your North Star? It's a bit like woo-woo and
no,
what
I
have
never
you.
heard
But
of it. No, never
heard of it.
No.
Yeah, there's a guy called Will Polston, who goes to, I think he has something called The Dinner, which is hosted by James Martin's venue, Baddow House Park or Baddow Park House or whatever it's called. And he has this big dinner. But Will's, if you look him up on YouTube, Will Polston or Instagram, he's an entrepreneur, business owner, and he's very like philosophical with how he approaches things. It's not his idea. It's like he's like, that's his thing. He's got, I think, a podcast called North Star something or other, or what have you. But he's big on it. He talks about it, and I think in business you end up kind of like running around a lot, being very busy, but you don't actually take a moment and pause to appreciate how far you've come, what that journey's been like, but then also where you want to end up. And what I'm talking about here is like, what does that actually look like? And I've realized I don't fucking know. I actually genuinely don't know.
No, what your purpose is? Yeah.
But yeah. So what is where does my drive and ambition come from in relation to work and business and life? Like, am I chasing a monetary amount? Personally, I don't think I am. I think
I always think that I can't be, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, well, this is it. So if you need if it was really about money and that was your purpose, you'd go and get a job because you're very highly skilled. And at the moment, you're having to funnel a lot of profit back into the business, which means your remuneration is probably lower than what you could earn as a salary somewhere else. But I do think North Star has short-term goals. So I mean, North Star for me is like that's big picture thinking. But the point here is that I think it does change and evolve over time. So for me, for a long time, my North Star was to provide for my family, and that was financial to a certain degree. And then when you reach a good level of remuneration and you have certain comforts, that then becomes there's things that I need to do. Like personally, I want to buy a house. I want to move and have like my own little thing separate to the family farm. And there's loads of different things going on with me, but they're not they aren't what's driving me. They're not my North Star, because the comfort and the things that we have, like we're very fortunate. Do you know what I mean? Like we're in a good position. But what is actually creating the drive? I mean, what's your take? Have you what?
Do I ever thought about it? Yeah.
Well, to ask you a specific question, like, what do you think? What do you think drives you right now?
Mm.
And for people listening, just have a think about that. Like, for you, whatever you're doing in your business or life right now, why are you actually doing it? And I know this is a bit fucking woo-woo, but like for me, I look at it and I go, I could choose right now to go and be like, right, we've got a really strong business, stable, it's very cash generative, it's very profitable. We could go after stability. We could really do that, and choose to not divide and conquer, if you like, the competition. So why am I talking about doing that? Why do you know what I mean? Like, what
I've thought about it a few times. I don't think it's like a. I don't think it's like a fame kind of thing, but I think there's a. I've always found, and I haven't been doing this for this is not a long length of time for me. It's like year number 6, I guess. 20. No, what we? Yeah, probably, yeah, year number 6. So I've always liked the fact that it's entirely open-ended. I like that. So I like the fact that there is never any ceiling. And because this is what we've talked about, setting goals and targets and stuff before, and I think this is part of the reason why I kind of probably don't. Is it is completely open-ended. There isn't a ceiling on what you can achieve or get to or what it looks like. And I think that does help kind of getting you up out of bed in the morning. But I think there's a lot of it that is kind of like, I'm kind of searching for, I know I can do it, but I just want to prove that I can do it. Whatever that might be, whatever that might get to, I think the overarching word that I would use is just success. I don't know at what stage you would call it success, and that's I've always found it hard to kind of classify that, define it.
Yeah, but I think that's definitely.
I think
it's got your own definition.
Yeah,
or is it society's definition?
I think it might be society's. I think it might be society's. Yeah. I really do, and I've never been really one that gives a shit about that sort of thing. To be honest with you, it's not something I'm striving for everyone to look at me and say, "Oh, look at them, they've done really, really well." Because there's bloody loads of people around me that we work with. I think, God, you've done so well. Like, this is so good. Like, you've got such a great business. I'm like, well, but I think there's a lot just about just being able to prove you can manage something that is, or can grow something into something that is massive, whatever massive might be. It might be £1 million turnover, and that might be it. It might be 3, it might be 5, it might be 10, it might be 50, it might be 100. Who knows? Like, I don't know where it stops and where the ceiling is, and I think that's what's quite exciting about it. But
I've had, yeah,
it can't be about money, Matt. Otherwise, I'd go and sell someone's product. I'd go and sell someone's. I'd go and sell someone's software. I'd go and jump in a plane somewhere, go off here, there, and everywhere, and I would go and sell other people's stuff for them. That would be what I would do. If it was all about money, that's what I'd do. But I just don't think I could. I don't think I could rally myself in the mornings to get up for it the way I get up for it. I think that's.
Yeah, because there'll be people that are listening who this will be a little bit of like, that's fucking irrelevant, Matt. Like, right now, I need to deliver this. We need to get this done because we're in survival mode as a business or whatever it might be.
Yeah, there is a bit of that in there.
There is a bit of that, and I've been in that situation before. But when you pull through that, like, or if you pull through it, you get to this kind of plane of existence where purpose is questionable. Why are you doing things? Why? So why does Matt want to grow the business to £50 million turnover? Why is that a goal of mine? Why is that on my goal list? I don't know. I'm really, it just feels like the right thing to happen. Now,
You like the idea of size and scale?
Yeah, but maybe it's and I think this is part of it for me. So I've thought about it, and I think, I don't know if this is definitive, but I think for me, it's personal growth. So my North Star is the evolution of me. I want to be moving in a positive forward trajectory as an individual. That's the key thing. So I want to learn new skills. I want to become better at the things that I do right now. And I want to positively evolve. That's like, for me, that's where I'm at with my personal development and that cycle. And a byproduct of that is the growth of the business. But the other things that really matter to me is the growth of people around me, which is an interesting one because I spoke recently to someone and I kind of explained a situation that someone was going with, and the person listens to the podcast, they'll know what I'm mentioning there, but they kind of said that situation that was going on, and I can't articulate the details, but there was something where I was kind of involved with something that I needed to be to support an individual. And they said, that's a distraction, Matt. And they were correct. It is a distraction from the bigger picture. But actually, one of my things that I'm aligned with is seeing others develop. I don't know why, but I get a lot out of it. I really like seeing other people evolve and grow, personally and professionally. So I don't know whether it's I'm obsessed with growth and personal development. Maybe I am, I'm not sure. But my North Star definitely a few years ago was providing and providing sustenance to the people directly around me. But I've seen, like, me, Sarah, and Rob are all on our own growth journeys, and I've seen them develop massively as they've seen me develop massively. So for me, it's personal growth, I think. But what does that North Star endpoint look like? I really don't know.
No, I think that's quite of the attraction to it, though, isn't it? I think that's the attraction to it. The fact that there is no ceiling and there is no you don't know when it can. I mean, like, look at the old SpaceX bloody IPO this week. You know, sending rockets up into space. Where does it end?
Interesting.
Like, where does it end?
Yeah. Well, it's about solving problems of everything in business.
Every level.
But I mean, but for me, one of the important questions I wrote down prior to this episode was kind of like, how has my North Star shifted from the early days to now? And I think the answer to that is sustenance. So I've gone from needing to provide for myself. I mean, Amy's has her own job and her own career path. So she contributes. We're a modern family. Do you know what I mean? Like, just as yours is. But it's providing for my family, seeing the kind of the benefits of the business kind of trickle down into my brother and sister. They joined the business, but I don't know if that was it's interesting. So I think I need to go on a bit of a journey to try and establish what that North Star truly is. I'm going to try and think about it and revisit this topic later in the summer, because I need to understand what my purpose is in business.
Do you? Do you really need to understand it?
Yeah, because... Or
do you just not need to keep striving for more?
Well, then are you in danger
and improvements?
But then are you in danger of ending up in a location that you're going to become dissatisfied with?
Maybe.
Because you didn't think about it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's weird, because I never thought I'd be selling workwear. Never, ever entered my mind.
Yeah. I went and did a degree in politics and military history and wanted to be a Royal Marine. That's like what I wanted to do. And then I've ended up selling clothes online.
I love explaining it.
What a failure. What an absolute failure.
It's just weird, isn't it? I honestly, I don't get it sometimes. I kick myself now because I think, fucking hell, why don't you start a bit earlier, you dickhead? Put your finger out early doors. But it's just a, I don't know, just a series of different decisions that lead to a certain point, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think you can just do it because you want to do it.
And actually, does a North Star...
Because you've got the opportunity to.
Does that ultimate goal and what's driving you, that North Star, actually have... Does it actually evolve, or does the feeling of the journey evolve?
Feeling, I think, more than anything.
Yeah. So that drive and what is creating that drive, I'm not sure it's ever changed for me.
No, I don't think it has either. I can't say I've always wanted money because I didn't have any then. I don't have any now. So I still ain't cracked that one. But I don't know.
Yeah, when I pay,
it's got to be size and... Go on.
When I pay my January tax bill, I won't have any money either.
It's just got to be a size, a scale, and it just has to be that, surely. What can it get to? Oh, I wonder. I think for me,
it must be interlinked: personal development and seeing other people grow. I think they're the two things that I think that's where I'm at with it. But I'm unsure, so I need to think about it in more detail.
I lean on that as well. So I obviously I end up being the custodian of my dad's business, which was never booming or anything like that. And now I employ him, and I employ my mum. So there's more responsibility for me for their continued income. So there's responsibility on me for that. Maybe it is a responsibility thing. Maybe it's that I just like having the responsibility of ensuring that we can deliver wages for the people that we employ. Maybe it's just that. I don't know.
I wonder. One of the things I wrote down when I was brainstorming about this was like undeniable proof. So am I in pursuit of?
Yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. Yeah.
So
proof that you can do it.
So am I in pursuit of creating undeniable proof that I am the person that I say I am or I envisage myself being? So Matthew's, like, I suppose, brand or personal brand is hard work, get stuff done, no nonsense. Am I pursuing that? I don't know. It's a strange. So anyway, listen, I don't want to go too woo-woo with it.
I'm knackered now.
Yeah. So 47 minutes in, we've got a couple more things I just want to touch on. But for people listening, have a think about that. What is your North Star? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you actually doing it? Like, maybe it's you feel like the purpose is providing for your family or the people you care about at the moment. But that will evolve. If you achieve those things, it will change, I think. And yeah, it's fascinating. And check out Will Polston on YouTube because he's got a podcast and he's done like a ridiculous number of episodes. I can't remember. Just type in Will Polston on Instagram. Some of his content's really good. I followed him a little bit from a distance. I don't know him. Okay, so Claude's question of the week. But before we get into that, because I think that'll promote a little bit more thought process, we just wanted to mention that we've had a couple of nice people comment. We've had Simon Van, and he says, I commute about an hour to the service area for my business. The longer episodes, say 40 minutes plus, get me through that journey. Keep it up, lads.
Very kind. There we go. This one's a tick for you, Simon.
Yes, more this is 48 minutes so far. So yeah, you've got some good waffle in there. Simon, comment and let us know what you think your North Star is. What's your purpose? So that was on Spotify. And Simon, also make sure you've given us a good rating. And then on YouTube, we've had Joe Green's Garments comment. And he was engaging about AI scouring all the data to find hyper niche small business and piece together, or taking the idea they've worked years on. So it was to do with episode 74, which is about the books are about to go public with that kind of like that thing. So he's a bit of engagement there, and he just said, good episode. Which is very kind of him.
That's very nice.
Have you seen the comments from John Jr., by the way? He's been a long time follower
on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've only just worked out how to post the reels on there, if I'm honest, mate. So
great work. But listen, he's put another really interesting comment on, which I'll let people go and find. He seems quite clued up. The short of it is there's some nice little engagement bits on there. So I just like to say,
so thanks very much, everyone.
We do read the comments, and these little things where people are saying good episode, it does it helps us feel like, because the main thing for me, like, what's the North Star of the podcast? Well, I think it's to help people. I think it's to, and I'm not saying I'm a fucking expert at anything, but I've definitely learned and failed hard, and I know you will have. One of the really relatable things the guy used to say when I spent some time is actually in business, for you to learn from another entrepreneur, it doesn't need to be, say, if you're at £1 million turnover and you want to learn how to get to £2 million, well, it's pointless speaking to someone who's doing £10 million turnover, because the distant memory of them doing that £2 million is so long ago, they will have forgotten how they got there. So you need to be talking to and networking with and speaking to people that have just gone past the threshold where you are, because their memory of what worked for that will be fresh and real. And I thought that was very interesting, actually. So, yeah. So, Claude's question of the week. What's the one thing you'd refuse to compromise on, even if it costs you growth?
That's easy. Time with the kids. Simple. That one's simple. I've had that conversation with a few people now. I spoke to Lee and Paul on their podcast about that as well. I think that's one. It's one that comes comes up time and time again for people that have made it, when they say, have you had any regrets? Well, I didn't really spend a lot of time with my kids. Didn't get to go to sport. Missed a load of sports days. All of that sort of shit. And I thought, I'm listening to all these people say it, I'm not doing the same thing, and I don't want to do the same thing either. So, I mean, I still do some work over the weekends and stuff, but I try and pick my moments as and when, so it doesn't affect like time with the family and whatnot. I've been quite hectic the last few weeks, and I've done it quite a lot, but I try my hardest.
I think that response is the best response you've ever had to any of Claude or ChatGPT's questions. So well done on that. I thought that was good.
Thank you. I watched Finley's first sports day yesterday. It was the longest sports day in history. Started at 9:15, finished at nearly 1 o'clock, because it was followed by a picnic. But it was just great. And yeah, that does come at a bit of a sacrifice, because that's a whole morning and a working week where you're getting communications from customers. You need to speak to people. It piles up. Then you've missed the morning. Not only do you need to do the afternoon, but you need to catch the morning. So it does come at a cost. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it will cost us right now. I think that will cost us some level of growth. I really, really do. But I think I'm okay with it.
Interestingly, just on that kind of topic and thought process, I think you, and I'm going to be critical, I think any business owner and entrepreneur, there's only so many hours in the day. So you and I 100% have compromised on that. Well, I'm going to be honest. I think I have. I think there's been scenarios where I have filmed a podcast with you when I could have been at home with the kids. But it's whether or not I'm reaching the threshold for me that's acceptable.
I've done the same, haven't I?
So what you're saying is correct. But you will have, without realizing, compromised the threshold of comfort. So there is times when you will have been filming a podcast with me in the evening.
No, that's that. Yeah, sorry to caveat to people to think I just work between the hours of after school and before school.
The reason I'm challenging you on that, because
that's fair. That is fair. So I think that's a good point to raise, is that there will be times like that, but I can't have them thinking that all dad does is go to work.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They need to respect and appreciate you, and you need to provide. And a part of that is doing things sometimes that are when you could be with them. And that's the role. I mean, that's the role of parents, is to provide for their children at a young age. And it's a very difficult conundrum that you and I face. I mean, Arthur asked me today, he said, "What are you doing today, Daddy?" And I just said to him, I'm going to work hard. And he said, "What for?" Which I thought was very interesting. And I was like, "What do you think I work hard for?" And he said, "Money." And I said, "No, I don't think it is that." And it's so relevant to today's topic. Yeah. And Arthur's 7, and he said, "Money." And I said, "No." I said, I think I work hard because I want to become a better dad. I want to become a better leader. I want to become a better business owner. And he responded with, "Daddy, how much money will you make today?" And I just thought, I said, I honestly don't know, mate. But that's not what is motivating. He was like, there was just a moment of like the cogs were turning in his head. But obviously that kind of like school, like little boys, little girls, like get this like this whole playground jealousy thing and stuff going on. So there'll be some toxicity there. Like it's fascinating, those conversations, because obviously he's starting to understand that the world runs with money.
Yeah.
He's at that age where he's realizing things cost money, and he's starting to understand it. Yeah, he's interesting. Children are amazing. I don't know what my answer is to that question. I'd say I'm willing to compromise on things, so my business grows. But how far am I willing to go? I don't know.
How far are you push? Yeah.
And on the children thing, there's definitely times that I've missed out with them. There's definitely times, Charlie, where I've had no choice but to prioritise growth in the business, and I've had to neglect my responsibilities as a father. Without a doubt, my business did go bust once, and that 2-year period there was no balance. It was work, and I was trying to solve the problems and protect, because I needed to provide.
Yeah, circumstances.
Circumstances
often dictate, don't they? And I'm sure I'd be the same. There'd be a realization the same, wouldn't there?
You'd have to.
You'd have to.
So you do what is necessary. That's what I'd say in relation to that.
But would I bring it back, or would I just go? I don't know. At what stage would it be pushed?
What I would say is that period of my life where I was all in. I'm reaping the rewards of it now to a certain degree. But then I definitely missed out on some of the early years with Arthur, I think, when he was like 2 or 3, 4. But then now I've got an amazing relationship, and I invest significant time with him. I went wild camping with him, and not wild camping, we went camping in a woodland, and we had I invest time in that now, significant time.
Yeah,
but you have to do is what is necessary.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
It's a juggle. Anyway, it's a juggle.
It's a juggle. It's a balance, and it's not. I don't think it's. Compromise on sleep. There's so many things, but anyway.
Oh, it's a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly. Good episode, that, mate. I enjoyed that. Let's leave it there. Thanks for listening, guys. Comment with your thoughts. If you think we are a bit woo-woo and crazy, call us out. We like that. And let us know your thoughts on that kind of balance and things that you'd refuse to compromise on, even if it costs you growth. And we will see you on the next one. Cheerio.
Ciao.